This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, as you know, my name is Ahmad. So today I am taking cloud computing because these days cloud is everywhere. Every company is moving to cloud from their on-premises infrastructure. So today we will discuss about everything, the introduction, cloud and all. So this is my little introduction, which already the organizer had given. So I'm Azure Cloud certified, OCI Cloud certified, and RAC and Golden Gate, and basically my skill in Oracle database technology. And this is my YouTube channel, Oracle Ride, which is related to IT technologies. So you can catch the latest video on this YouTube channel. And these are my blogs where I wrote, that is Oracle Ride, and also the BTET and IT tutorial that are Turkey based blog. And these are my LinkedIn link where you can join me. And so let's begin with cloud. So basically, why we required cloud. So before going to cloud, I'm giving one example. Suppose in daily life, you are using the electricity, right? So when you want to open a fan, you will just push the button of that fan. So your fan will start. But what is the procedure behind this electricity? You will not go into that. Basically, where electricity is created, that is power plant, and then that electricity came through in a network of high voltage transmission line into your town, and then substation, and then it will come to your home. Okay, so the process of turning on a fan is hidden behind the simple act of flipping a switch. So at this point, electricity becomes a utility which has many benefits, right? So first, you only pay for what you need. Okay, when you buy a light bulb, suppose, so you don't pay your electricity provider upfront for how long you could possibly use it. Instead, you pay for the amount of electricity that you use actually. And second, you don't worry about how or when power plant upgrade to the latest technology. So finally, you can say that you don't have to manage scaling the electricity. Suppose many people are coming to your town, so you don't need to worry about that, because power supply is provided by the power supplier. So you don't need to worry about that. So that concept basically based on the cloud also. So suppose if you see this diagram where your company is there. So just take an example of Google. Google is started in a garage, right? So when they started their business, they started in garage. After that, they build a server in that garage, and then after that, when they grow, they move to some other places, and then they build a data center, and then they put all the server on that data center, and then they sell their services to multiple clients all over the world. Okay, so for that they required a website, right? And after that, they put that website on the cloud, right? So that everybody is able to access that thing. So when any IT company is developing or deploying any application, storing data, or some event hosting a website, all require managing hardware and software, right? So these days, these are obstacles. So when delivering your application to your user, so you required everything. But suppose if you don't have budget to build an infrastructure, so you can buy infrastructure from other vendor, right, or other service provider. So that is basically cloud computing. So that's a problem. Solution is your cloud computing. So if I say what is cloud computing, so cloud computing is renting resources, right, like storage space, CPU cycle, and computers. And what is the benefit of that? The benefit is that you can pay only what you will use. So if you see that cloud computing is internet-based computing, where shared resources, software, and information are provided to the computer and other devices on the demand, like a public utility. So this is Wikipedia definition. And also, you know that Oracle owner is Larry. Uh, he said that cloud computing is using a computer that's out there. So if you see in the diagram, we have application, we have platform, we have infrastructure, right? So this is the concept of cloud computing. And cloud computing is not new. It started 50 years back when a standalone mainframe in the 1960. And after that, the concept came is virtualization that support mainframe. So this is beginning of the cloud, right? So the company provide these services is referred to as a cloud provider. So here we have multiple cloud provider. So I will go into that later. So what happened when it is introduced in 70, and after that in 90s, all mainframes to client server system, and then in 90s, the beginning of the internet era, when everything is based on internet, right? So if you see this diagram, this is showing earlier it was on premises, then after that it was on internet. So that is the 90 era. And after that, application offered as services over the internet. So whenever you study the cloud, you will find services for everything. So you have to manage the service, you have to create the service, you have to add the services in particular group, so that every user which belongs to that group will use that services. So introduction of server hardware, virtualization over the internet, that started in 1990s. Got it? And then basically cloud computing is divided into three parts. One is infrastructure as a service, one is platform as a service, and one is software as a service. So basically computing service offered to vary by cloud provider. Typically that include computer power, storage, networking, and analytics. So what is computer power? Such as Linux server, web application used for computation and processing tasks. And for storage, you required databases and files. For networking, you required secure connection between the cloud provider and your company. And analytics means virtualizing telemetry and performance data. So the goal of cloud computing is to make running a business easier and more efficient to that customer who does not have big budget to start the company, right? So in that things, this cloud is beneficial. So if you see this diagram, there are three compute approaches which you can use in your business. One is virtual machine, one is container, one is serverless. Okay, so these are the things. So in this diagram, if you see that what is the virtual related thing? The virtual is basically a container, sorry, in that physical hardware, and then operating system, then hypervisor controller, then virtual hardware, then operating system OS, then application. So these actually build the virtualization. And when you build a solution using cloud computing, so if you want to have more control and responsibility over maintenance, you will create a virtual machine, that is VM. So VM is basically emulation of a computer, just like your desktop or laptop. So on your laptop, everybody is creating a virtual machine these days. So you have two operating system. Base laptop is Windows, and operating system VirtualBox has Linux. So that's way this concept is running in the IT industry. So the difference is that you don't have to buy any of the hardware, okay, or install the OS. So basically, cloud provider runs your virtual machine on a physical server in of their one of their data center, right? But the risk is that maybe data can be hacked. So mostly banking database are not giving or changing their platform to the cloud, but other like retail, like airlines, like telecom, they are moving to the cloud, right? And what is the container? Container basically provide a consistent isolated execution environment for application in that physical hardware, host operating, and then container engine, then dependencies, then application, then user will connect to that application, right? So if you see there is one word is running in IT industry, Docker. So Docker is one of the leading platform for managing container. So Docker container provide an efficient, lightweight approach to application deployment because they allow different component of the application to be deployed independently into different containers. So multiple container you can install or you can use on a single machine, okay, and also you can move the container between the machine. So that is very flexible solution, right? Now the third thing is that serverless computing. So serverless computing, if you see the figure, physical hardware, host operating system, then serverless runtime, and then function. Okay, so suppose you run application code without creating, configuring, or maintaining a server. So the core code is the core idea is that your application is broken into separate function that run when triggered by some action. So this is ideal for automated tasks. Suppose you can build a serverless process that automatically sends an email confirmation after a customer makes an online purchase. Suppose you are login for this seminar. So when you submit the form, then automatically you will get the confirmation from this seminar, right? So that may be running or using serverless computing. Got it? So the serverless model differ from virtual machine and container. So what is the difference? You only pay for the processing time which is used by each function that you are executing, but VM and container are charged while they are running. So that is the difference between serverless and virtual machine and container. Okay, so but this architecture does not work for every application. So you need to identify where you can use serverless, where you can use container, where you can use virtual machine. But serverless is the fastest operation or option for deployment, right? So cloud computing enabled technologies, we have a cloud data center, virtualization, and cloud APIs, cloud storage, cloud database. So basically, what is storage? Most devices and application do the reading and writing, okay, data. So suppose you buying a movie ticket online, or you looking up the price of online item, or you taking a picture, you sending an email, or you leaving a voicemail. So in all these cases, data is either read or written. Okay, so the type of data and how it is stored can be different in each of these cases which I said. So cloud provider basically offer services that can handle all of these types of data. For example, if you wanted to store text or movie clip, or you could use a file on disk, or if you had a relationship such as address book. So like that, for these type of data you want database. So using cloud-based data storage, you can scale to meet your need. Suppose you want to add more space, you can add it. Suppose you want to reduce that space, so you can read it. So that's why cloud computing is flexible and cost efficient, which can be beneficial for every business. Got it? So cloud data center basically provide the scalability, means you can add more server, you can reduce more server, and reliability required for cloud computing. You can locate it in cost-effective areas where cost is less, sorry, and trending towards a modular data center design. And then you can use virtualization because most important technology which is used in cloud. So you can install multiple virtual machine, and in that virtual machine you can install multiple operating system for a single computer, and then you can utilize your resources, and you can pay according to your usage. So pay as you go is the pricing model, or you can say punchline for the cloud. Okay. So cloud APIs is basically used for application programming interface, and basically this is a layer between the user and cloud services and resources. So commonly API architecture is REST. REST means representational state transfer, and cloud storage, as I said, is using a web-based HTTP interface, which is offered by cloud service provider. And then cloud database is basically to store the data. So mostly relational database is used for that, but cloud computing is not well suited for relational databases. So you can use open source databases, okay, because limit scalability and integrity with SQL language, because we know that from SQL language we access the data. So that is the main feature of that. So non-relational database are better suited. So we have uh, so for that we have key values, easy scalable, and item oriented. So the NST is the organization which basically said this definition long back. So this definition is still applicable in this era also. So what is that? A model for enabling convenient on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources such as networks, server, storage, application, and services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management efforts or service provider interaction. Okay. So the word cloud makes basically reference to concept. One is abstraction and another is virtualization. So abstraction means a process in which specific details are hidden or ignored to simplify or generalize something. And virtualization means a process in which software manage hardware resources of physical host. So resources can be used more efficiently by multiple virtualized guest system. So we have three cloud layer in the cloud computing. One is infrastructure cloud, one is content cloud, one is information cloud. So what is that? Abstract application from server and server from storage, that is infrastructure cloud. And content cloud means abstract data from application, and information cloud means abstracts access from clients to data. So that is the layer which involved in the cloud computing. Now, what is cloud terminologies? So we have cloud, we have IT resources. So cloud means a distinct IT environment, and the purpose of use by remotely, and which provide scalability and which measure your IT resources. And IT resources are physical or virtual, and that can be software based or hardware based. And other thing, on premises means you can configure your cloud in your premises, and in on premises IT resource can access and interact with cloud based IT resources, and you can move to a cloud, changing it to a cloud based IT resources. And then cloud consumer means the user which who are using these services, and cloud provider who are providing these services, and scaling, as I said. In scaling, we have horizontal and vertical. Horizontal means you are allocating resources of the same time, that is scaling out. You are releasing the IT resources of the same time, that is scaling in. And vertical means you are replacing IT resources with another with lower capacity, that is scaling down. And when you are replacing IT resources with another with higher capacity, right? So this is cloud terminologies. And another concept is that cloud services. So as I said that any IT resource made remotely accessible via cloud, and cloud service consumer basically temporary runtime role assumed by a software program when accessing a cloud services. Okay. And what are the attributes? So the attributes are elasticity, on demand, pooled computing resources, metered service usage, and broad network access. So what is that mean? So if you go into elasticity, so as I said, you can add, you can remove resources or services which you want. On demand means your services available 24 hours a day, and from anywhere, from any given network, you can connect. And provider pool computing resources means cloud provider maintain and acquire computing hardware on which cloud services running. So you can use that services, you can take it, you can remove it, you can add it. And also metered service usage means if you are using one service, so you have to pay for that service only, and all services are managed through metered. So a cloud provider will see your usage, and after that they will send the bill according to your usage, right? And broad network access means you can access from desktop, laptop, mobile, tablet, smartphone. So that's why it is very flexible. So basically, the core cloud computing service models are three, as I said. One is infrastructure as a service. So it will target IT manager, not end user. When I say PaaS, platform as a service, it will target IT developer and software developer. And when I say SaaS, it will target end user, not IT administrator or developer. Okay, so this is in three infrastructure which is there in your cloud computing. Okay. So I'm giving just a general example of pizza because everyone like pizza. Yesterday I had also. So in pizza, suppose you are making at home. So what you required cheese, you required toppings, you required tomato sauce, you required pizza dough, you require fire, you required oven, you required electricity and gas. And if you like cold drink, you required cold drink. If you if you want to sit on a table, so you required a dining table, right? So this is traditional on premises legacy, right? So but I can give some part of service to other vendor. So like cheese, toppings, and tomato and pizza dough. Okay, I am giving to another vendor. So that vendor is called as infrastructure as a service. So what I will do, I will take those things from vendor, and after that I will open the gas or oven or electricity, then make it and drink and dine it, right? So this is the IaaS infrastructure as a service. Got it? So in that basically what is that the most control over the provided hardware that runs your application, if you talk about that. Okay, so if you see excuse me, if you see another diagram, so your networking, your storage, your server, your virtualization, so these are services you are buying. Okay, but Before going to that, if you have on premises, so you have to manage everything: network, storage, server, virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime, data, application, and on premises. But you are taking these services from vendor, then it is called as infrastructure as a service, right? Now go to the again previous one. So here I am taking fire, oven, electricity, everything from the pizza delivery, right? So in infrastructure as a service, you are taking it and bake it, right? But in platform as a service, you are only waiting for delivery. So same way, if you go in platform as a service, network, storage, server, virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime, all will managed by the cloud provider. Only you have to access the data and